and say that will be a speeding in pit lane penalty for Matthew Skulls.
Ooh. Not someone you expect to have that kind of penalty.
No.
Right? Again, we're just talking about he is one of the guys to watch, one of the best guys out at the moment in both categories we've had here in the Premier Endurance League so far, and maybe just a little bit too angsty to get back out there and get back in the fight. And unfortunately, it's going to bite him behind a little bit there and give him that penalty. So he's going to have to try and serve that now at some point, and that's really going to affect, I think, how the rest of this is going to happen.
So I can tell you, I went back and had a look at the pit stop times for Matthew Skulls. He was 8 seconds longer. Do you know what took me from in contention last round? An 8 second longer pit stop. Do you know what takes 8 seconds longer? 4 tyres instead of 2 tyres. What were we talking about pre-race?
2 tyres, right? Maybe potentially in 1 pit. So surprised he's actually been, or I mean, maybe it might have been because he's been in that pack, right? And been fighting that hard that he was kind of forced to go for 4 tyres, or maybe he was trying to find a way to maybe try, to have a bit of longer pit time, but maybe towards the end of the race and maybe be faster having fresher tyres, right? But man, that's actually just came around and hurt him now because of that pit. Maybe faster.
Yeah, well, so normally, Baz, normally the way it works, hotter track, you burn off those tyres a little bit quicker. I can absolutely tell you that the track is stone cold tonight. It's 25 degrees Celsius on the track temperature. So there is no problem with the track temperature at this point in time. The 020 car coming to pit lane, that will be a speeding on pit lane exit, and that will be Aidan Norris, I would say, forced to come back to the attention of his crew. No, there was no reason for him to come back, so he must have missed getting the correct amount of fuel in. So that's taken him out of contention as well. So we've lost another couple cars now.
Wow.
With mistakes in pit lane.
Yeah, so a couple guys been caught up there, but I just want to make a quick announcement real quick here as well. We're actually only just gone live now, proper on the stream here for PL over on YouTube. So hello everyone, welcome here. Apologies for the delay. Scott, I've actually been covering this for a little bit now, but it seems the stream's only just come through. So want to let you guys know we are half an hour through this race here, currently just coming off of the back of the field, all doing their 1 pit stop. So we're going to be seeing now just close racing all the way to the end. It was brought to you by Gamer Gear Direct, Simulation Superstore, John Scott Motors, and Sim Racing in Focus. Thanks to those guys for supporting the Premier Endurance League, and of course as well the Virtual Motorsport Mentor team there, providing our safety car for the Premier Endurance League Championships here for Season 1 of the GT4s and Season 2 of the GT3s, where we are joined here as well, as I just mentioned, by Scott. Here, of course, you normally see him on the GT3 side of things, joining us here for GT4s, filling in for Formal here for Race 2. Formal will be back with us later on in the season.
You could say I'm informal.
Don't start the jokes, man. Come on.
I'm filling in formal shoes.
Man, I just... Formal, if you're there, man, I need help. I'm pressing the help button. Send help, man. This is the SOS signal going out right now,
This is what you get for not being here this week.
Yeah. I'm the one making the formal jokes, so it's fine. It's fine. It's whatever. We leave it as it is.
In the meantime, the current status of the race is about 1.4 seconds, 1.3, 1.4 seconds between each of our drivers at the top end of town. So Owen Coleman's got the lead currently by about a second as they go through what was 1.4 seconds as so coming down the main straight back to 1 second. So he's made a mistake in turn 1. 1.2 seconds from from Chris Pellet in second place, back to Trent Allen in third. And just for a few moments, we're looking at a couple of cars down towards the tail end of the pack. And unfortunately for them, Jacob Hughes, Luke Mackay were a number of those drivers. Unfortunately for them, their nights have not gone quite so well. And these couple drivers in behind here, Stefan Lawrence and Andrew Dutch in the Mercedes duel, trying to go toe-to-toe. Which is different because Lawrence blew by Dutch in that first stint, Baz.
Yeah, now we're getting a bit of a reversal here, right? And these guys, as we mentioned before, I guess we'll have to mention again now that we're actually live here. Some of the guys that are towards the top of our current championship standings. I mean, obviously Coleman all the way out ahead is looking like to keep that first place locked in. But with Hughes being so far back, second place without the grabs here for Stefan. Potentially even for Dutch as well, who's currently in 5th, as Daniel Magri as well is quite a few positions down. So that fight between second at the moment between some of these guys is really what these guys are aiming for, unless they can catch up to Owen somehow towards the end of this race. But as we've had all race long so far, this top field, we have about 7 or 8 cars here, all fairly close to each other, really keeping up a long slipstream train here. We had a couple bumps and nudges as well at the chicane of death in turns 1 and 2 as well. And some of these guys have maybe gone a little bit too deep here and caused contact a couple times. I know it's been called on radio, so it has been talked about. I don't believe there's been any penalties by it just yet, Scott, that we've had so far, but we know it has been talked about.
Has been one penalty. It was for incident on lap number 1. So
that was before we were even watching. So it
was Matthew Carrick that got the penalty for contact with Adrian Gresh.
Yep.
Other than that, there was a warning issue to Matthew Scholes for contact with Chris Pellet. But Scholes obviously no longer in it, just due to that tyre change. And I can tell you, have a look at the background of that shot. That was Daniel Magri getting past Sam Chapman. So the Magri Mercedes just got the move done. As we'll move backwards through the shot. That's the top end of that shot right there.
It's going to be Lawrence, Magri, and Dutch who might be all fighting soon. Then 3rd, 4th, 5th, all in the standings, all going to be fighting hard to really try and move up positions, or in terms of Lawrence's case, maybe even to hold on to 3rd in the overall standings.
Big mover in the field thus far. There's a couple drivers that made a ton of positions. I can tell you, Ricky Provenzali started in 23rd, has gained 12 spots. He is up to 11th. Peter Baxter started in 15th, normally my commentating offsider. See, we change around sometimes. He's normally my commentating offsider. He gets to race tonight. I'm not racing. I'm in the commentary booth. Up 5 spots into 10th. Luke Mackay's done a good job from 24th up to 16th as well. For some of those drivers in the background. Alan Dawson started 6th in 15th. Mark Foster started 8th, currently 12th. And Matthew Scholes started 3rd, currently 8th. Are the big losers in this opening stanza. Stefan Lawrence as well. I just realised 11th to 4th. Great job by him and potentially a podium. But that's the driver we're watching on board with at the moment as he fights with Andrew Dutch.
Yeah, there's continued fight as we're talking about here as they're going around the final corner here on Monza now. Again, gearing up for that 1-2 here, and Dutch is going to be looking to go for that overtake here. Again, a reminder, GT4s, right? No DRS, no ERS. If you're not really familiar with the GT4 category, it's all about that pure power, speed, and really skill here as we're leading into the corner at the moment. We've seen a couple peaks from some of the guys so far. Looks like Dutch is going to hold on for now and just really keep that pressure up. So at the moment, it's just going to be a lot of pressure put onto Stefan here, and Dutch is looking for that opportunity where Stefan might make a mistake.
I can tell you we've got about 21.5 minutes left in this race as well. So it'll be generally what happens within iRacing is if you're within a lap's distance of home when you cross the start-finish line, you'll get the white flag. So it won't be 1 hour plus a lap. It'll be the conclusion of the lap after an hour will be the checkered flag. So that's how things will track down. Trent Allen's starting to close in as well. That's our battle for the lead that we can see at the moment as we're following Chris Pellet in the middle of this one. Owen Coleman just in front of him, but Trent Allen started a resurgence in the Aston Martin, has started tracking him back down again, and Pellet is only just outside of the tow range. We'll be seeing just the slight amount of help from that drop, but these guys are starting to close up. Get the feeling Coleman might have pushed his tyres out here, Baz.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about before how much of a lead that Coleman was having here. Yeah, we saw it in Catalonia back in race 1. We've seen it here in Monza, but yeah, as you mentioned, he definitely seems like second, third starting to catch up, and the rest of the field even not too far behind him. So he's going to have to be real careful because there's still this whole second half of the race yet. He's going to try and hold on to here at the moment. Yeah, sure, he's first in the standings and had a fantastic run there, but the guys behind him, as you said, it's like second, third, fourth in the standings, right? These guys he's going to have to watch out for. And as we're gearing up again into that 1-2, it's going to be close up. I do want to give a big shout out here, Scott, as well to Trent. I know we were laughing before about the cars, but that Aston really been sticking to the Mercedes here, really been doing work here, being the only one really in this top 5 field. And you can see how close that he's getting now to maybe look for a push onto Chris here, onto turn 2. It's going to maybe be a little bit just yet, but he's really starting to make up that time.
Yeah, I get the feeling that Pellet is more than within that draft range at the moment. And for Trent Allen, he definitely is within the draft range. He's got to give Chris Pellet some credit. Sometimes you catch up to a driver and that draft, and maybe it's better off that you follow them for a couple laps, because if they squabble, Coleman will disappear. That'll be the crucial factor. That's the reason why Coleman hasn't been shuttled thus far, is because he's been just out of touch with some early squabbling on within the first stint. As we tick over, we are now under 20 minutes to go on this race. And fastest lap thus far was been of 1:56.155. That was set by Stefan Lawrence, of all people, but that would be, he was getting 4 cars worth of tow. Kind of easy to set a fastest lap when you've got 4 cars punching a hole in the air for you.
Literally just a whole train, basically, at that point, road train set up, just letting you get free speed there. But, I mean, he's going to be happy that he's got that lap, because at the end of the day, it says he's got the best lap. So it doesn't matter how he got it, he got it nonetheless, right? So, going to be happy with that for the moment. But you can see how close Trent has even gotten over this 1 lap alone right onto Chris. He's getting inching closer and closer, and maybe going to use that to try and catch up to Owen potentially here. We'll have to wait and see how that battle happens. It's cool to see the battle between Stefan and Andrew. You can see in the background there is also quite close. But if I'm not mistaken, that Golf Porsche is getting real close to the right Merc there behind Stefan and Andrew Dutch there as well, which is getting... we were laughing before. We saw the Golf Porsche had a bit of a mishap there in 8, 9, and 10, but he's actually starting to catch it quite a bit there too.
Yeah, he's actually... So Magri's gotten through on him, but Magri's starting to catch this front pack. And that's the difference in terms of things. And the other thing I was going to say was, if you're enjoying all this speed style racing, maybe I need to introduce you to NASCAR. We're talking about oval racing a little bit ago. Well, maybe NASCAR's the thing for you, Bast.
I did enjoy one SVG getting his first maiden win.
Yeah, but that wasn't a road
course. I know it wasn't an oval, but I will say it was a fantastic street race there. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't able to replicate it entirely right with the trucks in the oval there, but I know he had a lot of fun at the end of the day after that series too. But maybe might have to. I mean, we know iRacing is the home for NASCAR, right? There's fantastic NASCAR racing happening all the time, so might have to check that out.
I can guarantee that you would enjoy it. One of the big things that he's going to find difficult to adjust to is that they actually adjust the car in NASCAR in the pit stops. Unlike V8, because the roll bars obviously you tinker around with, but it's in NASCAR it's set and forget. You make that adjustment in the pit stop. If you've messed up that adjustment, there's nothing you can do. You've just got to hang on to that car until the next pit stop and say, hey, no, we've gone too far here. We need to go in the other direction. So that'll be an interesting one to follow, I think, next year, because his seat at 888 Racing, 888 Red Bull Empire Racing has already been sold.
And a young star that we didn't think was going to go there. I know some of the guys quite upset that the move has happened. If I'm remembering my interviews correctly just recently, it was like, I believe the comment was something along the lines of like losing a family member to like the enemy or something like that, I believe was the quote used. I don't think it's that bad, guys, but I can understand the sentiment.
Barry Ryan does not mince words as a race engineer. Does absolutely not mince words. And you know how we can tell? It was an expletive-laden interview that he had at Sydney Motorsport Park. Did not mince words at all there. Another car's actually just in front of these guys. Luke Mackay's actually just come out of pits just down the road in the BMW. So obviously he's had further dramas. He's only about 8 seconds out of this lead battle, but now all 3 of these cars are in Coleman's. Sorry, all 2 of these cars trying to catch Coleman have caught up. They're in his draft, so we're going to see a battle for the lead with 15 minutes left on the clock. And Dutch and Stefan Lawrence, neither of those 2 drivers have left the other one alone this entire race. That one will go down on the flag as well.
Guys are probably going to run this all the way to the end, and I know it's just before we went live on stream. I didn't quite catch the drivers who were caught in the accident. We know there was a couple of guys in the first few laps who actually were in some pretty serious accidents who had to pit early on, so some of those guys might even have been forced to pit, well, essentially a second time, right, towards the end of this race if they've gone through the fuel and tires early on, because they're essentially just got +1, +2 onto the other guys for like a minute or two. And then they're going to have to worry about the pits again. So it might be some of those guys who we might be seeing at the end of the pits, or just drop off entirely. It might cause traffic and blue flags potentially. If it drops off that far, we will have to wait and see, because 21 is getting quite close to our top field here at the moment. So traffic might actually be a factor here shortly if this speed keeps up. And you can see, Matt Scholes into the pits again. You're talking about guys having to double pit. We know I believe this might be him serving his penalty, right?
No. He's come back to the pit lane. So he came to the pit lane. He left the pit lane on lap 21. So he came back in the previous lap I would say none of these guys are actually good in terms of the fuel requirements. Maybe Skulls didn't get that car full of fuel, or he's had some other pit lane drama. Either way, the car did not fill up. He has actually gone back to the pit lane, and Luke Mackay has actually just received a drive-through penalty from race control for contact. Anyway, so Matthew Skulls' race is just about ruined.
Wow. Again, we can't believe, again, driver of that caliber, again, just not the race for him today. It happens to everyone, and since Monza won't be his race, hopefully it might be better for him in the GT3 category a little bit later on in the season. But back here with our top three, and yeah, Chris and Trent have definitely made up the pace to Owen. We knew it was happening. We knew it was getting closer and closer, but this is getting ridiculous now with less than 15 minutes here on the clock. This battle is going to get fierce.
Yeah, maybe it's about timing it, and indeed they are timing it. I can tell you just down the road, Luke Mackay is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger for these guys. The lap traffic may become a pick. Pellet missed the first apex, the first portion of that chicane that time through. It was not quite perfect in terms of landing the curb properly. But either way, has managed to hang on, and again, draft assisted. It's easy. You can make, 3 or 4 tenths worth of mistakes around here and stay in the draft. That's how strong it is around Monza, Baz.
Yeah, it's just, again, all about that pure speed, and if you make 1 or 2 mistakes, as long as you're still got like a good rough average speed, right, you normally can be okay, but still got to be careful, because we've seen a few guys have been caught out when they've touched the outside, just completely span out, gone straight into the walls. So you have to be real careful, especially in these last few laps where, the tires will be starting to get old again. That pressure is going to keep building up in the mines as well, and it doesn't really matter if it's some of these guys' first or second races here in the league or multi-year time races, right? It can happen to anyone. So going to be a very close lineup. That BMW as well, as you said here, Scott, is getting bigger and bigger here for these guys at the moment on the pitch. They're going to have to worry about potentially very, very soon, and that could also potentially break up the pack. He's gone to the pit, so don't worry about it. That whole part, don't worry about it. Doesn't matter. Just delete that from the pod. It's fine.
Well, we had a drive-through penalties, so I'm wondering whether or not he's serving that at the moment. So that'll get that one out of the way. That conveniently gets him out of the way. Yep, drive-through penalty has not stopped whatsoever. Yep, that's Luke Mackay serving that penalty. So that one's now out of our hands. And I can tell you, Matthew Skulls has exited the server. His race done for the day. Will not make the conclusion of round 2 of Premier Endurance League's GT4 racing action. In the meantime, this lead battle continues to grow. Trent Allen had quite a good lap that last time by, was the quickest of the top 3. It's this chicane here. This is the one where Pellet's making mistakes. He's having lots of issues with just pulling the car up accurately and consistently. Because the biggest issue I can see, well, he's being consistently making mistakes in the braking zone.
Quite interesting, I think, as well as look towards maybe potential finish positions here. I mean, Chris currently at the moment is in 12th place in the standings, and Trent, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's actually his first race here in the season.
On the GT4.
Yep. And he's already 3rd and already taken it to 2nd and 1st. So this is insane here coming out from both these guys. Of course, Owen, as you mentioned, still currently in that lead, being challenged by him here at the moment. We are going to see him slightly back off and touch the outside a little bit there, but won't do too much for now. Again, still loving that battle between Stefan and Andrew there in the background as well. Super, super close. And I know, Scott, you'll be quite happy to see a lot of the Riot guys here, right, all the way in our top section of the series of the grid here currently. Again, now, we only got just about 10 minutes left here almost, and we still have that lineup. You can see just further on there is a bit of traffic still there in the distance, and they are closing up a tiny bit. Probably won't matter too much, though, by the end of this race, unless we see any slide outs or collisions up there. We might have to wait and see, yeah. And at the moment, we might see... No, actually, I was thinking maybe we might see a potential sneak out, but no, looks like the guys are going to hold on to this one-line formation for now to go towards... I actually don't even know how many laps are on right now. It's got 3 here. One of many here for our hour-long race for the GT4 category.
Yeah, we're 26 out of an estimated 30 to 31 laps, so we're not confident that we'll finish it in 30. We may actually get that 31st lap in over the hour duration. Don't forget they've had a pit stop to get through in the middle of the race. But I tell you what, Pellet is starting to get closer and closer and closer. I would definitely say if you were to take the draft away, I think Coleman might be the faster driver. But then again, them's the brakes. It's Monza, baby. When you go racing at Monza, pack racing tends to form. And going into the dying stages, will Chris Pellet have a go? Trent Allen as well in the GT3 category, sitting 6th after race number 1. 2 weeks' time, we'll be here in the GT3 category to see which GT3 is the fastest in a straight line. Hint, hint, it's actually the Ford, which will be replaced with the Mustang variant next year.
I know Ricky and Jimmy are not big fans of the Ford, so they're not going to be happy hearing that.
Well, yeah, so the Ford GT is about useless at just every track except for Daytona, Le Mans, and Monza. Those are about the only 3 where the Ford is actually relevant.
Well, lucky that they've got Monza coming up. If there's any Ford fans in the GT3 category, I mean, they'll be happy maybe to pull that one out potentially for this race. I mean, doubt, but I mean, I don't know. There might be one mad lad in the grid. I mean, I'll have to check out the race guide and let us know. There's 4?
I'm pretty sure there's 3 to 4. What happened was they were thinking about cutting it from the servers, and I said, don't cut it from the servers. I'll personally throw up a $10 bounty to anyone who can win a race in the Ford. In the meantime, Chris Pellet's going to make contact with the rear bumper. I'm sure that was contact with Coleman at turn number 1, and that's going to take away all the hard work that he's been doing over the last couple laps.
That's going to be huge, and maybe even give Trent the opportunity. Now Trent as well is on the hunt, right, looking for that 2nd place, and maybe we're going to see if he can take that one away from Chris here. Owen's going to buy him some of that extra time here to go towards the 4-5 combo now. And while he won't go for it just yet, expect it probably soon, maybe even towards the back pit straight here, maybe for Trent to catch up. But I believe he actually might have just caught the purple strip there a little bit. There, tiny bit of slide there for Trent, if I wasn't mistaken, I just saw there as well. So he's going to lose a tiny bit of speed there. And now all 3 are basically going to have to be on a bit of a reset again and try and catch up to each other once more. 2:35 already through this race, and not much time left here on the clock right now for these GT4 guys. And this is what we're talking about, right, Scott? The pressure maybe mounting up here for some of these guys here. Maybe a bit of nervousness or jitters can also come in a little bit when you're in this, I guess, tense of close of a race here at the moment. Maybe starting to bite these guys a bit towards the end of this race.
Yeah, mentality, a big part of that. Sometimes you see a couple drivers, they'll wiggle around on the straight. They'll look to fill the mirror of guys. They'll look to let them know that, hey, I'm here, I'm coming, I'm thinking about a dive right here. And it just gets, Owen Coleman might drive a little bit narrower into a corner. That means he can't take the optimal line, can't carry enough speed. So far, Chris Pellet has done none of that. There's been no jinking around, no ruffling of feathers, no unsettling of the car ahead. Trent Allen's been pretty clean as well. He's not going to make the race distance on fuel.
Oh my God, wow. Okay, yeah, he's been absolutely caught out there, and that's just shaking everything up there. Trent, that's guaranteed him there pretty much that 2nd spot, and now so many guys are going to move up. Stefan, the 3rd, Andrew Dutch will go to 4th as well. Again, this is going to be huge standings-wise here at the moment. Stefan is going to make sure that actually might even push him up into 2nd place here. Seeing the finishing position of Jacob Hughes is going to be all the way down the pack here. We're going to see some major standing changes towards the top half here after that. And now, again, I just can't believe just the fuel just being caught out.
Surely, I'm starting to think that might have actually been a drive-through penalty for Chris Pellet. I'm going to have to go and check. How long has he been in the lane for? No, he's out. He's out again. There was a 29-second stop. Don't tell me it was a drive-through. No, it wasn't stop. It wasn't stop. It was not a drive-through.
I mean, we did look like he made contact, right, with Owen. It was pretty huge contact as well. I mean, we just missed it. So that maybe could have been it. But yeah, it looks like it will just be a fuel issue, which again has caught out quite a few guys now.
It's not a fuel issue, Baz. It's a skill issue.
I was going to say it, but I mean, we're just going to start calling guys out now. I mean,
yeah, it's a number game skill issue. That's all it was.
I thought this was an hour, not a 2-hour race, man. I'm looking forward to the 2 hours instead of we were pulling jokes out here for an hour-long race.
Sometimes you gotta have a go with it. You just gotta have fun with it, right? Call someone out, see what happens.
Yeah.
Pellet will take it. Pellet's actually quite funny. I've called him out a few times on just funny things, and always get a message afterwards just saying, I heard that, I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
Actually had an incident at the Phillip Island race in the GT3 series in season 1 where he had a hardware failure. Coleman's into the lane as well. Owen Coleman just pit.
Way.
So that you cannot make the distance on fuel.
These guys must have just misjudged, or again, maybe because they're caught up in this pack, right? Just having to keep up that speed and just not being able to really fuel save the way they want to, or maybe being like that forced, like they're unable to do so. Trent, the Aston Martin, is going to be in first here. And it's going to be, I believe, by quite a margin as well, locking that first place spot in. And we only have a couple minutes left here. Trent might be our winner.
He's got 5.5 seconds. 5.5 seconds margin currently. So the thing is, if he's got 6 seconds worth of margin, he's been sitting behind drivers the entire race. He's never had to punch a hole in the air. Not once. And if you have a look, there was a couple drivers that went to that lap 16. Trent Allen was one of them. Peter Baxter was another. Ricky Provenzali. So this is where Coleman rejoins. So this is Chris Pellick. Chris Pellick got to the pits, and he's got the pass on an Owen Coleman, and Coleman's now bump drafting him out of turn 3. The run down of the chicane at 4 and 5. These guys are going to fight it tooth and nail. Pellets finally got the job done in the pit stop. Will get the car parked up on the apex. Gets the job done there. So Pellet will hang on to that one. And change for the fuel strategy effective lead, but it may not be the race effective lead, because if these guys have not gone far enough on fuel bars and everyone else has, what was the point of going that hard?
I will say though, Mr. 86 will be quite happy not having to look at a Riot bumper anymore, right? Having that advantage over Coleman, but Coleman is still fighting hard here, looking to go on to the outside at the moment for 8, 9, 10. We know they're going to be careful. A couple guys have been caught on the outside here so far. Chris will just hold on into the entry at the moment and will be able to actually lock in and stop the overtaking coming through from Owen. But this fight is going to go all the way to the end here. And now with Owen with the slipstream advantage, he might be able to get a 6th position back here. It's going to be all up to how Chris can defend and try and hold on.
Hang on. Andrew Dutch and Stefan Lawrence have just gone into the pit lane as well. So we are going to have a big change of position as runs deep at the final corner from Chris Pellet. This was all about going fast at the temple of speed. Now it might be a race of who went the slowest, who burned the least amount of fuel. Trent Allen could win this thing, not from making a single overtake, but because he wanted to lift off at the end of the straights and save a bunch of fuel.
I can't believe what we're seeing here, Scott, at the moment, at the end of the race. Don't get me wrong, we've had a fantastic race too here so far, the GT4 category season 1 of the Premier Endurance League. But to end it like this, with so many guys being caught out by that fuel count, miscounting when they went for their pit stop, maybe just missing shy. Maybe it could have been an opportunity of not being able to fuel save as much as they had planned on, being stuck in a lot of these battles. Maybe it could have been the fuel usage, maybe catching up a little bit more than they were anticipating. Either way, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. The fuel is not there. And so many drivers now who were actually quite a far bit back and now just pushing their way up, just getting more and more points, adding to their end total points right at the end of this race, just because, as you mentioned, right, Scott, they weren't really using the Temple of Speed, they weren't living up to its name, and really focusing more on fuel saving, right, and just trying to keep a good rhythm going.
This is Peter Baxter deep in the pack as well, fighting with Ronald Long up to P12 at the moment. Baxter's just pit. And if anyone on the field, Peter Baxter's the guy that I normally go to for fuel numbers, for the fuel margins. We'll be on the last lap of the race this next time by. Where is our race leader? Where is our race leader? Trent Allen has come into the pit lane. Nobody will make it on fuel.
We were just talking about how Trent will have been the only guys, and now he's been caught out. And even that second lead advantage is not going to matter. 5 seconds, 5-6 seconds is not going to be anywhere near enough. That's going to put Sam Chapman there, the Porsche driver. I believe that's the Golf livery Porsche driver we saw earlier, him into first. The last time we've seen him, I would say twice in the stream. Once he had a bit of a hiccup at 8, 9, 10, and then we saw him again a little bit later on, actually challenging, I believe it was around that 6th, 7th around position mark coming through, and now he's being lined up. He's still in second. Owen and Chris now, these guys have met up once again here for second, third, fourth. Trent now going to have to try and hold on to second here from Owen. Has a bit of a lead advantage, luckily, but we know Owen very, very fast. Might be able to catch up to him, but I believe is that only one lap left?
Yeah, this is the last lap of the race. We are now on the 31st circuit of the Monza layout. It is Trent Allen. Remember, the thing is, when you've gone that much further on fuel, you've only got to add a lot less fuel to get home. That's why he's been able to make the overtake. His pit stop time, 27 seconds. Owen Coleman, 31 seconds. This is from pit lane entry to pit lane exit. That says to me he stopped for only like a second. And Pellet was stopped for 3 seconds. Coleman stopped for 5 seconds. That is the margin between all of our drivers at this point in time. That is why Trent Allen's in first. I'm kind of trying to keep half an ear out for where is Sam Chapman. At the moment, he's coming through the Ascari chicane. He's got 2 corners left to go. It's 1 corner left to go. But it is flat chat the whole way home. There'll be a slight lift off. There'll be braking. He's got 13 seconds worth of the margin. There'll be 1 more corner left to go. This is the battle for second place. Deeper back here now. Trent Allen hangs on to it over Owen Coleman. Owen Coleman got aggressive. He got the job done. He managed to get by Chris Pellet, but Trent Allen just went so much longer. And I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, at the moment, Sam Chapman's coming out of the last corner. We won't be able to cross to that picture live at the moment, but he has won a fuel save race at Monza. In the meantime, Trent Allen on the last corner to the outside has managed to hang on to second place. A phenomenal battle for second here in this race. Who knew we'd be going for a fuel race at Monza? Allen gets it done, gets P2. It'll be third for Coleman, and it's going to be fourth there for Chris Pellet. Phenomenal performance from Pellet. Pellet steals the fastest lap of the race, and I think that was on the the last lap of the race as well.
I can't get over how this race ended. I know Formula I talked about at the end of Catalonia how fuel could have potentially been a major issue for some of these guys here in this race, but I was nowhere near expecting it to be at this level where so many guys got caught out at the end. And big congrats to Sam Chapman, right, as we said, managed to have that fuel strat ready to go there, was still in that top 10 for quite a bit of time throughout the race, but to just sneak his way through all the way at the end because there's so many guys, our front runners, all being caught by the fuel issues and being caught in the pits. Or, I mean, Scott, as you said, I'm happy to call it skill issue at this point because I think that's quite literally what it is, just miscalculating the fuel usage there and being caught out. And it's funny that we had towards the start of the race, it was just all Mercedes dominated, right? Yeah, you have Trent up there with the Aston, but it was like Mercedes up to about 8th or 9th or something like that. Now we have a Porsche and an Aston first and second, and then only a Merc coming in at third. So that's really, really cool for those guys to get in there in that top 3.
I've heard skill issue. Have you heard of cylinder issue? That might be too many cylinders on the engine. Oh my word, Sam Chapman. That was not something I expected. And ladies and gents, enjoy the shots of the cooldown lap. Because that came out of no... It was, you mentioned it. He was in touch the whole race. But the benefit of the lead group was they had people punching the hole in the air. Sam Chapman had no help. No help whatsoever.
At one point, we thought he was going to be taken out of the race. The way he kind of went into, like I said, the 8, 9, 10 section, the way he kind of slid there was a high chance if he didn't catch it quick, the rear end would have just caught him out entirely, right? And he could have been out. So the fact that maybe in an alternate universe he's in a wall, doesn't matter now. He's quite happy that he's riding away with his first place spot. And we want to call out a couple other guys here as well. I mean, again, Owen Coleman, our current championship leader, coming into this at third place, I believe will still hold on to that first place spot in the current standings. Cool to see as well. Stefan Lawrence currently third in the standings. I believe he will move up to second. I believe Jacob Hughes.
That's Sam Chapman. That is Sam Chapman right there.
As well.
Sorry to cut you off, Baz. That's how fast Sam Chapman had on fuel. That's not even to turn 3. He couldn't. Sorry, turn 4. That was the turn 4 chicane. Didn't make it. Cross the line. That's the important part. Just don't ask for a fuel sample.
Yeah. Luckily, we don't have to worry about that in sim racing. Luckily, we can ride all the way to the end of the tank, and it doesn't matter. He's going to be able to get away with that one. But that cut, that's pretty much perfect, right? Just being able to fuel save. I mean, I didn't even care about that outlap at the end. If you get it all the way to the end there, I would have laughed if he crossed the line and ran out of fuel. Like, that would have been.
But look at the margin that he had, right? He could have come out of the Ascari chicane and lifted off and still been home fine. He had 15 seconds at that point. He had nothing. Like, there was no reason to push on in that last lap. What would be the point of setting a fastest lap if you didn't make, or trying to set a fastest lap if you don't make it back? He had 15 seconds to play with, so managed it perfectly. And if there was an emergency moment, he might have got back. My word. I love fuel races. I love strategy races.
Always fun to see because you never know what's going to happen, right? You never know who's going to run out. You never know who's going to just pull something crazy out of their hat here, like Chapman has. And again, Rookie, sorry, just some final call outs as well. I mean, we've got to call out Ricky, the boss man. I mean, here it's all right coming through. I mean, 23rd to 10th at the end there. And we saw, I believe, he even got up higher than 10th at one point. Absolutely insane to see him come out there. And
was that a Riot Sim racing car with enough fuel left to do burnouts?
No, but was it? I actually didn't quite catch it.
I'm sure there was a Riot Sim racing car that just did burnouts.
I just love all the cars that are just stranded on the side of the road because they're just out of fuel as well.
So, drivers that ran out of fuel before making it back to the pit lane. Adrian Gresh, Matthew Bakir, Adam Hill Motion, Owen Coleman, Sam Chapman, Jimmy Middleton, Jacob Hughes. Half the field ran out of fuel. That was exciting. That's welcome. You've been inducted now into the iRacing strategy column. That's what a fuel race looks like.
Yeah, that's again not really. I think how I'm going to take it going forward. I think a lot of guys actually failing the course. I think after that, but I think I can take some good notes from that. Of maybe add 0.5 extra fuel, maybe.
Well, no, they couldn't. That's the thing. They filled the tanks. They filled the tanks to the brim.
Oh wow! Okay, I didn't even realize it was the four. I thought the second half they were like maybe just under, maybe just trying to find that tiny bit extra speed. Oh wow! Okay.
So strategy lesson for you. Coleman pit at the end of lap 15. Remember all three of those cars that peeled off at the end of lap 15? We thought, oh yeah, they're going for an undercut. Oh, they're trying to jump out and clear air. No, that wasn't the case. They were out of fuel.
Wow. Okay, I know we were talking about what Scott you mentioned before to me as well that we're probably expecting maybe just one pit stop, right? Where it looks like in reality a lot of people were forced for 2 pit stops, so that's insane to see that. I think we might have some interviews coming up, Scott.
I believe we do. Yeah, I got Sam Chapman on standby, our race winner, and Sam Chapman. Were you squeezing an oily rag into the fuel tank at the end of that race there?
Yes, I sure was. I think I was lifting off at the end of the main straight between sort of 200 and 300 meters all race. So yeah, fortunately for at least a part of it, I got a bit of a dancing partner. But yeah, for most of it, I was out there on my own. So yeah, I couldn't believe it paid off. To be honest, I thought there was going to be a few that saved.
The only driver to make it on a one-stop strategy at the end there, that last lap you had 15 seconds worth. Was there any question marks over whether or not you'd have enough gas to get out of that last corner and to the line, or you were definitely good?
It was down to like the 100 mils sort of thing. So as soon as I crossed the line, it started coughing. So I was just trying to get it to exactly that figure, pretty much all race, but particularly obviously in that second stint. Did spook me briefly when it looked like the pace was getting a bit too high and we might have another lap on our hands. But fortunately, leader pitted and all that sort of thing, so we got away with it.
No, I think we're okay. So by my markings, we're always on for 30 laps, and we did squeak the extra lap, that 31st lap. So I think we're actually okay from that standpoint of things. In terms of the race, though, like you said, you were punching the hole in the air for yourself there for an extended period of time. Did you know your fuel number from the get-go? Were you just trying to hit that? Obviously, I think lap 16 was so crucial to get to the end of lap 15 and then pit at the end of lap 15. That's what set the race up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was trying to get to that, and that was fairly straightforward to get to in the first stint because I had a bit to work with ahead of me for a lot of it. So I could actually sort of let loose a little bit towards the end of that stint. But then, yeah, for the second one, it was just being very careful on it and making sure that you weren't. Once I got that slow down and lost the toe again, I was a bit frustrated because I got it right down to the target and had to sort of work that back up again. So, yeah, no, I was pretty stoked it happened. I'm glad the fuel calculator sorted me out this time. But yeah, a little Porsche taking it. I was pretty happy with Monza.
Mate, other than that, congratulations, and it'll be now your opportunity to thanks the sponsors that make it possible for you. Obviously, there's slightly less of a fuel budget than the other cars, so I think they're really important to thank today. You've saved them some money.
Well, as you know, what I lose in the fuel budget, I make up for in the wax. So I've got to thank the guys at Dominion. So I start racing with them. So and their sponsors, Berling Motor Group, Race Lab Overlays, Doctor of Prophecy, Next Level Racing, RSW Graphics, and Turn in Race Apparel. But yeah, other than that, yeah, no, thank you for doing the broadcast. So only did last night, so it's pretty stuck. I'm very happy with that.
Mate, congratulations. I think this win will be one that you'll be treasuring for a farewell. Normally, races with a story, they're the ones that you hang on to and you're telling your friends about years from now. So I get the feeling this might be one of those.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you.
Mate, congratulations and well done on the race win.
Cheers.
And Baz, I think you've got Owen Coleman on standby.
Yeah, we do. Actually, now joining us now, Mr. Owen back here once again in our interview series. Welcome back here, my man.
Yeah, how's it going, guys?
Yeah, so obviously big win at Catalonia, of course, just missed shy here at Monza. Just initial thoughts here coming in at the end of the Monza race. How are you feeling?
Yeah, good. I think I just caught a lot of people probably napping in the last race, so I don't think there was many people that had jumped on to get much practice done. I think they're more focused on the GT3 side of things, so I was expecting it was going to be a lot closer this round, and yeah, it was.
Well, how was that anyway going into the Monza round? Because again, you had first for quite a bit of the race, and it looked like for a while it was going to be a very similar situation to Catalonia, where you were kind of running away with it at the end. But huge battle with Trent and Chris all towards that second half of the race. Was that how was that feeling battling both those guys? Because for us, I think on shame for Scott and I, it was a fantastic battle you guys had.
Yeah, I reckon Chris is probably running quite low downforce because, yeah, he was just gobbling me up on the straights, but I was sort of getting away from him in the corners. And, yeah, being in front of him, I wasn't really able to sort of save as much fuel as I wanted to. So I sort of just went for hell for leather and sort of knew that I was going to have to do a sort of splash at the end. So, but, yeah, happy to be on the podium for sure.
I was going to say, you still got that podium finish, and you're still our championship leader as well. Even after ending this one, you're still going to be our championship leader going in for the rest of the season. And now our next race coming up is going to be at Road Atlanta. Do you think that's going to be another good race for yourself, or do you think one might be a little bit more challenging?
Road Atlanta, yeah, I quite like that track. I was just hoping it wasn't going to be Road America. I've never been terribly good around there, but Road Atlanta, I quite like. So it should be another good race.
Yeah, I think we'll warm Baz up for that one because that's one's got a lot of the ups and downs. It's nearly the American Bathurst basically over there, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's any shout outs on any sponsors or guys you want to shout out after the end of this awesome race at Monza?
Yeah, obviously, Game and Gear Direct, you guys in the commentators box. You got Bliss Homes, the Mark Hughes Foundation, Card FX, Game and Gear Direct, I don't know if I said them, Motorsport Hauler, and yeah, just all the guys at Premier Endurance League for getting this up and running. It's been good fun.
Well, cheers for that, Owen. Looking forward to seeing how you continue. I mean, so far, still, you're again the current leader of our GT4 series, so keen to see how you continue going forward.
Yeah, hopefully I can sort of keep the momentum going. I didn't really have the greatest of luck in the GT3 race, so sort of try and make the most of this one.
All right, cool. Cheers. Cheers for the interview, man.
No worries. You guys have a good night.
You too.
Well, that's just about going to wrap things up here tonight, Baz. And like you said, Road Atlanta.
Got you with that one.
the next of the rounds. I mean, people confuse it all the time, but both are on the IMSA schedule over there in America in terms of things. So they do obviously do quite a lot of multi-class racing. It's short, it's rapid fire, and the first sector is like a roller coaster. I know that you would have seen videos of Portimao, so I know what you're expecting. It's a little bit slower than that, but it's tough, it's technical, it's tricky. If you miss the line, you're running off load, you're generally into the barriers. So it's all about speed, but precision. Precision is the big key factor at Road Atlanta, and then a phenomenal final chicane and up and over the crest of the hill yet again to finish the lap. So I hope that you're going to enjoy things, mate. Thank you very much for having me along tonight, though.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, and maybe we'll have to have you more often to replace formal. Just get him out and just leave you on. I think that's the plan going forward.
Are you saying you don't want to look? Formal's going to be
I don't
so
know.
disappointed, Baz.
No, he's absolutely trash talking me on wherever he is right now. It's a mutual relationship that we have. But no, I'm definitely keen for Road Atlanta. I mean, I'm going to be blasphemous a little bit. I have raced it a fair bit in a certain game with the initials GT7. A fair bit in other GT categories, and I've had a lot of fun there. So I'm keen to see how the action will happen here for iRacing. But yeah, big thank you there, Scott, for joining us here, for filling in for Formal. As you mentioned, Formal will be returning with us, hopefully for Road Atlanta. For us, for the GT4 category, that'll be on the 24th of September. So make sure you have that date locked in. And don't forget as well, the 10th of September will be the GT3 categories going around Monza, where you'll be joined by Scott once more. And will it be Pete with you for that one, Scott, as well?
We'll be Pete. Yeah, we'll be Pete back. So we'll be.
Yeah, so you have
on
the
call
usual duo there for the Premier Endurance League. So that'd be really cool to have you guys there once again for Monza. And once more, of course, a shout out to our sponsors to make all of this possible for you guys. Gaming Gear Direct Simulation Superstore, John Scott Motors, Sim Racing and Focus, and the Virtual Motorsport Mentor Group. Thank you guys for being able to support us here at the Premier Endurance League, to bring you guys an amazing set of racing categories, right? GT3, GT4, and even the GT3 UK League as well, which is just starting up very, very soon as well. So for everyone here, guys, thanks for watching the Premier Endurance League. We'll see you next time for the GT3 category, and of course here for GT4 at Road Atlanta. Till then, guys.